Hello and welcome to Minimise Debt, Maximise Cash with Top Service, where each episode we will give you tips on how to maximise your cash and minimise your debt in the construction industry. My name is Emma Reilly, Top Services CEO, Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Credit Management and current Advisory Council member representing trade credit. In this episode, one of our members, myself and Paula Swain of Kerns Legal Services, address the question of how to deal with late payments from an accounting perspective. The questions are asked by Philip King, our non-executive director, and this is taken from a joint webinar we ran with the CICM about charging statutory late payment interest.
Kerry says that a lot of the customers that they chase want an invoice for the charges. Nicola, do you come across that?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we that's one of the reasons why we started raising internal manual invoices when we did do internal in-house charges, charges. We do refer them to our external solicitor when it comes to the letter before action, and we say that it's not an invoice factor. You can use this letter that demonstrates the charges that are in there, but internally we would raise it, obviously, without except the VAT, etc.
Can I add on to the end of that, Philip, actually? So because we obviously get that question a lot here. So how the person that owes you the money should deal with accounting for those charges is they would deal with it in the same way that they do with bank charges and things like that. So there isn't a legal requirement for the invoice. But obviously I think it's more for their accounting purposes, and they should be able to use the notification in the letter for that. And likewise, the other side, how you account for it yourselves when you're receiving it, is the same way that you would account for like bank interest and stuff that you're receiving. So just in case that comes up as a question, because it's obviously a both sides thing question, that is.
So it's a financial charge or payment rather than a sort of good one.
And usually once you've explained that to the person you're charging the interest to, it's just that mostly it's a query on how do I deal with this on the books. So once you explain that to them, then they're usually okay with it.
Okay, thank you. Sarah's asked or said that her business is reluctant to raise the charges. How would she put a business case forward to encourage this going forward? And I think Nicola's given us some good pointers for that. I hope you agree, Sarah, that's been helpful. But I guess the bottom line of the business case is 11.75% on the value of the invoice, which is a contribution towards the costs that you incur, plus the compensation charges, which, if you add them per invoice, can be particularly significant.
I think with that, Philip, as well, just to say, just for Sarah in her business case, if she looked at historically over 12 months or 24 months, the amount of loss that they may have had, or the bad debts or the factors that have gone into a legal status where somebody has perhaps issued a CCJ or a claim or whatever it may be in advance of them, and look at what they could have done at that point, or, if we haven't charged a letter before action here, what costs could we have recovered? That was one of the issues that CEMEX had, that we were not as quick to push upon that legal action, as I commented on earlier, because of the costs that were involved. But when you actually sit and look at it on a business case perspective and say, right, okay, had we've got the first CCJ here before the insolvency that was paid, then you can actually see what monetary value it would mean to your business and certainly to your stakeholders.
Yeah, and I guess what you're really saying is that adding late payment interest and charges pushes you up the list of priority for people that are paying, and therefore you're more likely to get paid and less likely to be on the list of creditors in insolvency. I think Alison and Ian have both said that they find that raising charges is a really good negotiation tool and a really good incentive to get paid the original invoices, even if they don't get paid the interest charges themselves. And I guess that's a sort of another useful point. I know somebody that regularly, really, really small business, has only 2 or 3 clients, but always raises a late payment invoice. Immediately the invoice is overdue and it just gets her invoice paid. And that's all she's concerned about. In her case, it's not about recovering costs. It's just about making sure she has the cash flow she needs to run her business. Mohammed's asked how you would code the internal invoices from an accounting perspective, legal costs, offset bad debt recovered. I think, Emma, you answered this and you said you would treat it as a financial charge or a financial sort of interest, in the same way you would bank interest or
With regards to coding, I guess that's a conversation for you to have with your internal accounts, because people's nominal codes work slightly differently. But yeah, it's normally dealt with the same way that you would bank interest and things like that for both accounting sides.
Okay, so Michelle's saying that she understands the Late Payment of Commercial Debts Act is specific to B2B, and you said that, Paula, in your earlier session. Should they have separate T's and C's for individuals and businesses, or could you include interest charging in just one document?
I suppose the answer to that question: why would you adopt a different approach? If it's B2B, it's a sole trader; they're acting in the course of their business, in the same way a company is. So I would treat them the same.
And I would have thought, tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a lawyer, but if you were dealing with consumers, as in Joe Bloggs in his own right, rather than as a business or a sole trader, then you'd need a different contract anyway.
Yes. You wouldn't be applying this act.
If you have any questions that can't wait until we see you at the next webinar, do contact me. Search for Emma Reilly Top Service on LinkedIn. The correct spelling of my name is in the podcast episode notes. Also, please do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Bye from Top Service.